Good morning, students. Welcome back to online class on programming for problem solving subject. So this will be our first session as I'm considering my previous session as an introductory session. There I have given the complete overview of the entire syllabus of this programming for problem solving subject. So in short, instead of saying every time programming for problem solving, I use the term PPS. Okay, PPS stands for programming for problem solving. Okay, so in this PPS subject, okay, I have explained the complete structure of the course in my previous session. So what is the course code? Okay, as it is a lab oriented subject, then what will be the lab code and how many credits you are going to obtain if you successfully complete this course, how many marks per internal, how many marks per external, okay, how we do the internal assessment and how the university will do the external assessment. Everything we discussed in our previous session along with the syllabus clarification, isn't it? I told you that yeah, the structure we discussed. Okay, for syllabus we said we are going to complete the entire syllabus in 50 sessions, isn't it? I told you the subdivision unit wise I have given, I mean in how many sessions I'm going to complete the first unit, likewise second, third, in how many sessions, and overall we said we need 50 sessions in order to complete this PPS subject entirely. Okay, so after that overview, in today's session I'm going to start your first unit, that is introduction to programming. Okay, introduction to we have three subtopics under this, three sub chapters under this first unit. Introduction to programming will be the first chapter, then the second chapter will be idea of algorithm, and representation of algorithm will be your third chapter. So likewise we have the first chapter I'm going to wind up. Basically it is the complete introductory concepts to your computers. So I'm going to complete this first chapter in 4 sessions. Okay, then idea of algorithm, I will just give the idea. So it will take two sessions, and then representation of algorithm. It is very important because there we have to do the practical stuff as well when we are discussing algorithms, flow charts, how we draw them, how we do them practically. That also we have to discuss. So it may need more sessions. So I have dedicated 6 sessions in order to complete this particular chapter, representation of algorithm. So your first unit, it will be a collection of 3 different chapters. So in today's session I'm starting the first chapter, that is introduction to programming. Okay, introduction to programming. So as you all are going to become a software professional, okay, a software engineer, many things may come into your minds. So what exactly is programming? Because the basic job of a programmer or the basic job of a software professional is to code the programs itself. So many of you might have the idea of what programming is from your elementary level, but for many of the students it is again a new concept. So they need more clarification on this stuff. Hopefully, I'm going to solve all your doubts. I'm going to be there for you in solving all your doubts, in solving all your problems, okay, in guiding you towards a good direction, hopefully. So, yeah, before getting into this chapter, or before getting into this subject, or before knowing what exactly is programming, we have to know the computer stuff, isn't it? We have to know what a computer is and how the internal components are collaborated, or internal components are connected so that they will function as a single unit. All these things we have to discuss. So quickly, in a concept called computer system and internal computer components, we discuss all those things. So as the first thing, I have to define what a computer is. Okay, when I gave this question, when I asked this question to the students in a real time session, or in a real time, not a virtual but in a real time session, The students gave the mixed responses or mixed answers. Some of them they said, sir, it is an electronic device. Some of them they said, sir, it is a machine. Some of them they said, sir, it is a collection of so many electronic components like capacitors, resistors, transistors, all those things they are going to put together to form a final machine, final computer. So whatever definitions they have given, I'm not saying they are wrong. Their perspective, their way of thinking, it is absolutely correct, and whatever definitions they have given, that also very correct. Of course, a computer is an electronic device because it is made up of so many electrical components, isn't it? So many electronic as well as electrical components, we call it as an electronic device. Okay, so yeah, the second definition, whatever they gave, it is a machine because it is minimizing the effort of a human being. So, what is a machine? If you see a mechanical definition of a machine, anything which minimizes the effort of a human being, the human effort, whatever device or whatever tool we are using, if it is minimizing the human effort, we call it as a machine, isn't it? We call it as a machine. So as your computer is basically doing that thing, it is minimizing the human effort. It is minimizing the human effort. We can also call that computer as a machine. Okay. So now the scope or the existence, what exactly a computer looks like. So many of you might have an idea when I'm saying a computer, that big box CPU along with the display monitor, keyboard, mouse, putting all these things together, you may call it as a computer. So as you can see over here, I have given the pictorial representation. I have given the picture over here. So this is your CPU for your consideration, and this is your monitor, and this is keyboard, this is mouse. If you put all these things together, we call it as a computer system. Yes, of course, that is correct. That is correct. But now, in trending technologies, as we got some advancement in terms of computers, this particular device is not only, I mean, is not the only definition of the computer. Accordingly, we have many devices which acts like computer, which fulfills the needs of a computer in real time. Like we have our mobile phones. Yeah, can we call them as a computer? Can we call them as computers? Yes, of course, because they are also satisfying all the definitions whatever we have given to a computer. Basically, your mobile phone, when we are talking about, it is also made up of so many electrical components and electronic components, isn't it? So many electronic components, so many electronic components we are going to have inside a mobile phone. So many electronic chips, capacitors, resistors, transistors, all these things we are going to have inside a mobile phone. So basically it is also made up of electronic components. So we can call the mobile phone as a computer. And it is even minimizing the human effort, isn't it? It is even minimizing the human effort by doing so many things for the human being. It is minimizing the human effort. So you are simply making a call and sending the valuable information to your friend by simply making a call to him. If without the mobile phones, you have to go to the person and you have to convey that message to that person, isn't it? It is very difficult going over there and conveying the message. Maybe sometimes it is not possible if he lives in other country or if he lives in other state. Sometimes it is not possible. Okay, it will take more effort to convey that message. But as we have the mobile devices, these mobile devices, they are minimizing our effort. We are simply wherever he is staying in US, staying in some other state, living in some other country, we are not bothering about that one, isn't it? We are simply making a call and we are conveying the message to him. So in that way, the mobile phone is minimizing the human effort, so we can consider the um, mobile phone as a computer. Okay, so basically not all machines are computers, and not what we say, whatever devices we have surrounded us, minimizing the human effort, we cannot call all of them as computers. So there are certain definitions we have. Okay, if your device, if your tool, if it is obeying, if it is following all these definitions, then we can call that particular thing as a computer. Okay, then we call that particular thing as a computer. So the first definition, if you see here, I have taken 4 different definitions into consideration. Okay, so if you see the first definition, a computer is an electronic device. So we said, just now we said, the reason for that, because it is made up of so many electronic components. If you open the computer and if you see the internal components of a computer, you will find all electronic devices only, all electronic components only into it. So that is the reason why we are calling a computer as an electronic device which performs operations. So what it has to do basically, after making a computer, what we are expecting it from it. Okay, that means such as it has to accept the data, it has to take the data and stores the data. Not only taking, but also it has to stores the data, and whenever it is possible, it has to manipulates the data. Manipulation in the sense doing some calculations on that data. Manipulation is nothing but doing some calculations on that data. And how it has to do that manipulations means according to a pre-stored instructions. According to a pre-stored instructions, and that pre-stored instructions are nothing but our programs. Very soon we are going to have the definition for a program as well, and very soon we are going to discuss in detail about a program as well. So for now, you simply remember this definition. A computer is an electronic device which performs operations such as accepting the data, stores the data, and manipulates the data according to a pre-stored instructions. Pre-stores instruction and produces the desired result. And produces the desired result. If you are performing some operation and your computer is not giving any output, if it is not producing any result, any desired result for you, that operation is waste, isn't it? That operation is waste of time according to me. So definitely whenever you are performing some operation on a computer, we are expecting some sort of output from it. Some sort of output from it. So every computer, when it is performing a particular task for a human being, it has to give output in any form. Output it in any form. The output, it can be printed on the computer screen. Most of the time, the output will be printed on the computer screen, and sometimes the output you can even get on a paper, isn't it? With the help of a printer, what we will do, we'll print the output on a paper. So all these things in detail, once again, we are going to discuss. So output, it can be shown on the computer screen, or output, it can be printed on a paper, or output, it can be what we call uh, played on a speaker, isn't it? If it is a sound output, if your computer wants to give a sound output, how it will give that sound? By playing that sound on the speaker, isn't it? So all these things, we consider them as outputs. So how many different forms of output we have? Video output, it will display on the computer screen. If it wants to print something on a paper, yeah, we can even get some, I mean, in the form of hard copy, we can get the output on a paper. And finally, if it is having some audio output to give, how it will give? By playing that audio on a speaker, it will give that output. So all these things you have to remember, and all these operations, whatever I am saying, accepting the data, storing the data, manipulating the data according to a pre-stored instructions, all these operations it will do in a high speed based, isn't it? In a high speed based. All these tasks the computer is going to perform at a high speed and as well as the accuracy. We as human beings, if we are doing some kind of task, some kind of job, okay, with a kind of accuracy and with a kind of what we call speed. Okay, so suppose making what we have, suppose a tailor. Let us take the example of a tailor. What he will do, he will stitch the clothes for us, isn't it? So if you give like 4 to 5 pairs of pairs to stitch to a tailor, he will show us the accuracy over there. He will do it nicely. He will do the job nicely. But if you increase the work amount, if you increase the burden on him, so let us say instead of giving 5 pairs, if you are giving like 10 to 15 pairs per day, and you're asking the tailor to stitch, is he going to show the same accuracy level? No, definitely the accuracy level will degrade. Isn't it? The accuracy level will degrade. But for a computer, if it is a faster computer and if it is performing all these operations fastly in a speedy manner, it is not going to lose any kind of accuracy. Even if you increase the speed, if you put more burden on the computer, it will do the job. It will do the same job again and again with same level of accuracy. There is no compromise in terms of accuracy. Okay, that you can expect from a computer. Hopefully you understood. So a computer is an electronic device which performs operations such as accepting the data. Accepting the data is nothing but taking the input from the external world. It will take the input. So input, how we can give, what different forms of input we can give, all those things also we will discuss when it comes in our discussion. Okay, accepts the data, stores the data, and where it will store, how it will store, that also we will discuss. So stores the data and manipulates the data according to a pre-stored instructions. How it will manipulate and what are pre-stored instructions, that also we are going to discuss. Okay, and produces the desired result. How it is going to produce that result, where it will show us that result. Okay, what are the different forms of output, all these things we will discuss once again. So basically all these transactions, taking the input, manipulating it, storing it, giving the result, all these things it will perform at a very high level of accuracy, high speed and accuracy. All these tasks are performed with high speed as well as high level of accuracy. Okay, so the second definition, if you see, a computer computes the data supplied to it and generates the information. Simple definition. A computer will take the input and generates the output. Yeah, this definition also we can accept. A computer will takes the input. Input is nothing but data in the form of data. A computer will take the data, computes the data, that is nothing but input, and show us the result. Okay, show us the result or generates the information. Okay, output. So basically when we discussed about Microsoft Excel, there I told you the difference between data and information. It is a very debatable stuff, I can say. What is the difference between data and information? Data and information. So here we are saying a computer computes the data. A computer computes the data supplied to it and generates information. There is a big difference between data and information. See, in your Microsoft Excel, bulk of data we called it as data set, isn't it? Bulk of data we called it as data set. So if you have data set, that is your data. Raw data, basically whenever we want to represent raw data, instead of calling it as raw, we simply call it as data. So data is something very bulky or very raw kind of thing. No, without refinement there will be no use from that data. So basically what we have to do, we have to perform some refinement operations on it. We have to refine that data. That refinement who will do? The computer will do. By means of different tools, by means of different applications. Like your MS Excel, it is one such type of application to do the data refinement. Isn't it? So the computer will refine that raw data and gives the valuable information. Now what is information? What we need, what we intended for, that we call it as information. information. Information basically what we need. What is our concern? From that bulk of data, only one or two records are of our concern. Isn't it? We are here in our campus, we are maintaining the student records. We are maintaining the student information. Like 1000, 2000 students, and if you consider the old students as well, then the list will be very long. Isn't it? The list will be very long. Every year around 1000 to 2000 students getting passed from our institution. Isn't it? Okay. So if you consider all the student data together, we call it as data or raw data. All student data. Okay. Data set, we call it as a raw data or simply data. But the details of you in that data, the details of you as a particular student, we call it as information, because that is of your concern. What you do if I give you the last year students data to you? It is of no use to you, isn't it? What you do if I give some other student details to you instead of you? That is also no use to you. So what I have to give when you are coming to me for your information, I mean for your concern data, I have to give the related data, relevant data, which is fulfilling your desire, which is fulfilling your requirement, isn't it? Specific to you. That data only I have to give. So in that sense, in such a case, we call that data, because it is of your concern, we call that data as information. Information. Hopefully you understood. So basically what a computer computes, it computes the data supplied to it and gives the information and generates the information. Supplied data will be input and generated information will be output. Hopefully you understood. A computer computes the data supplied to it and generates the information. So supplied data will be input and generated information will be output. Supplied data we are saying and generated information we are saying. Information is specific. Data is bulky. Okay. These two differences you have to remember. Whenever we are saying data, you have to consider it as a bulky thing. It has a very large entity, very large, huge collection of data. Okay. We call this as data set or simply data. But when we are saying information, it is specific to you, specific to some party, specific to some domain. Okay. Such a thing we call it as information. So the third definition, a computer is an electronic device which takes the input, processes it and gives the output according to the user needs. This definition also we can consider, and this definition also we can take into our study. Okay. A computer is an electronic device which takes the input, processes it and gives the output according to the user's needs. According to the user needs. So a more technical definition we can say. Over here we used all the technical terms like input, output, processing. Okay. So that is the reason why the third definition I have given over here. A computer is an electronic device which takes the input, processes it and gives the output according to the user needs. And the last definition, okay, your book definition we can say. This last definition, your book definition, because I am following this particular author, you can go to the internet and you can search for him. Because this author is not prescribed by the university book, university textbook. They have prescribed some other books. You can refer that books as well. But for my understanding, I am referring the Ferozen and Gilbert. Okay, I will write that full name and I will give that full details of the textbook. Okay, when it comes. So for now, you remember Ferozen and Gilbert. It is a foreign author. He is a foreign author. Two authors basically. So I'm following that textbook. So with reference to that textbook, a computer definition is a computer is made up of two major components. A computer which is made up of two major components. One is hardware and the other one is software. One is hardware and another one is software. So basically a computer is a combination of two major components. Inside a computer, we are going to have hardware, and inside a computer, we are going to have software as well. So now we have to know what is hardware and what is software by means. Okay, what is hardware as well as what is software. So first we go to hardware and we see what it is. So hardware of a computer system are physical components which we touch, which we can touch and which we can feel. Okay, the physical components inside a computer, when you open the computer, the physical components which you can see from your eyes and which you can touch and sense, such components we call them as hardware of a computer. Hardware of a computer, hardware components of a computer. So whatever components inside a computer you are going to have, it may be your hard disk, it may be your RAM, random access memory, it may be your CD drive, it may be your motherboard, okay, other peripheral components, it may be your camera, keyboard, mouse. All these components we call them as hardware of a computer or hardware components of a computer. So basically all these components we can touch, we can sense and we can feel them, isn't it? We can feel them physically, we can see them and we can touch and feel them. So this difference you have to remember. This particular definition for hardware components you have to remember. What is a hardware component? Hardware of a computer system are the physical components which we can touch and feel. So examples to these hardware components, your keyboard, mouse, and just now I have dictated so many. Internal to the CPU, I mean internal to that cabinet of the computer, we are going to have the processor, motherboard, RAM, ROM, okay, then different peripherals, CD drive, hard drive, all together we call them as hardware components of a computer. Okay, once again, these hardware components, they further divided into three different types. Hardware components, they further classified as three different types. One is the input devices, which are helpful in giving the input to the computer. Input devices. Then the second thing, processing unit, internal processing unit, which manipulates the data according to a pre-stored instructions. About this processing unit also we will discuss in detail. Then we have output devices, which generates the output for the user. So how many classifications we have inside this hardware devices means we have three classifications. The first is input devices, second is processing unit, and the third one is output devices. How these three hardware components connected together means with the help of this simple diagram I have shown over here. So one side we have input devices from where the input will flow towards the processing unit. Towards the processing unit. So this is my processing unit and these are my input devices. So basically what they are doing, these input devices, they are giving the input to the central processing unit or simply the processing unit. So what this processing unit will do means it will processes my input. It will processes my input, and once the input is processed, it will give the output. Some output it will give. And how it will give that output means with the help of output devices. With the help of output devices. So inside this block diagram, we call it as block diagram because a block level what we call estimation of computer components it is showing. So that is the reason why we call this diagram as block diagram of a computer. So over here the input block, which always responsible for generating the input to the processing unit, and the processing block, it is responsible for processing the given input. And then we have the output block, it will produces the output for the end user. Again we see what are input devices, what is the purpose of using input devices, same thing for processing unit and same thing for output devices. So this block diagram, when we are seeing under this processing unit, I kept so many things. Yeah, what exactly we are going to have internal to this processing unit? Internal to this processing unit, we are going to have ALU. Okay, this diagram, it is very important, you have to remember. input devices, processing unit, output devices. And under this processing unit, inside this processing unit, we are going to have so many things like ALU, CU and MU. ALU stands for arithmetic logic unit. Okay, arithmetic and logic unit. CU stands for control unit. MU stands for memory unit. So three things you have to remember. Okay, ALU, CU, MU. Arithmetic logic unit, control unit, memory unit. And examples for input devices, your keyboard and mouse. And examples for output devices, your monitor, where the output will be displayed, and the printer, where the output will be printed on a paper. So basically, monitor and printer, they are the output devices. And input devices, keyboard and mouse. Apart from these, we have so many devices which act like input and output devices. Okay, so we have when you are playing games, sometimes you may use joysticks, isn't it? Joysticks. Okay, is it an example for input device or output device? Okay, mobile video game joystick. It is an input device. With the help of it, we are giving the instructions. We are some actions to the video game. We are processing some actions into the video game. So this is an input device, computer joystick. Touch screen, is it an input device or output device? We can say both, because on the touch screen itself, output will be displayed, and as well as it will act like an interface also. You are touching and you are giving the input. Okay. So many things we are going to have. Okay, scanner, it is an example for input device. Speaker. Okay, speaker, for output purpose we are using. Audio output we are getting inside a speaker. Microphone, it is an input device, isn't it? Using microphone, what we are giving? I am sending my voice into my video. Okay, by using this microphone, I am sending my voice into my video. So it is an input device. So like video camera I am using over here. Webcam I am using in order to record my class. So what it is? Is it an input device or output device? It is an input device, but it is because it is recording my video. It is taking my video into the computer. So it is an input device. So likewise, whatever devices you are going to see inside a computer, we can categorize, classify those devices under these three parts. Okay, any of the device from your computer, it can be either input device or output device or processing unit. It will come under processing unit. Okay, so input device examples we have seen, and output device examples also we have seen. So quickly go to the next. Yeah, this is a more clear picture of your block diagram, we can say. So just now with that three blocks I have given, but over here whatever inputs, whatever outputs I am saying, that also I am representing with the help of that also I am representing inside the diagram itself. So as you can see here, input devices, they are processing the data. They are giving the data basically. Okay, the raw data, the bulk data to give, we use input devices. So what are these input devices? With the help of keyboards, with the help of mouse, with the help of scanners, you can give the input to the computer. You can give the input to the computer. So this is your CPU. It is a combination of three things: ALU, CU and memory unit, MU. Okay, inside your CPU, inside your computer, inside your cabinet, these three things are going to work collectively. These three things are going to work collectively in order to process your input and to generate the output. In order to process the input and to generate the output. And we said some pre-stored instructions. Whatever processing the computer will do, whatever manipulations the computer will do, all those, the terminology, see over here, whenever we are studying a technical subject, whenever we are studying a technical subject, the terminology plays a vital role, a very important role, I mean to say. The whatever terminology I am using over here, whenever I am saying a new term, a new technical term, immediately you note it down, because anyhow I am stressing the term twice or thrice in my explanation, and I am giving the idea about it, and I am explaining all the necessary information, whatever will come across in your clarification or whatever it will come across in your understanding, hopefully. So if at all you are not understanding any technical term, any terminological term, immediately note it down and shoot it to me so that I can give the clarity on that. Hopefully you understood. So CPU, inside it we have the ALU, control unit, memory unit, and we said the CPU will processes the input, that is the data, raw data, according to a pre-stored instructions. Those pre-stored instructions are nothing but our programs, we said. And pre-stored, we are saying pre-stored in the sense prior to our processing, prior to our manipulations, they are loaded inside the computer. They are loaded inside the computer. So once they are loaded inside the computer, where they will reside, where they will be stored in the sense inside the memory unit. Inside the memory unit. So they are stored inside the memory unit and they will be processed under the ALU, arithmetic and logic unit. So hopefully you understood. So input devices, then we have processing unit, and then we have output devices. So what the output devices will give means they will give the information. They will give specific data. They will give concerned data. Okay. So output devices, they will give us information, and that information will be in the form of printed paper or in the form of displayed on the output screen. Okay, so if it is displayed on the output screen, we call it as soft copy, and if it is printed on a paper, we call it as hard copy. Okay, very soon we are going to study those two as well. What is soft copy and what is hard copy? If at all I am sending you a PDF where I am keeping all the notes, okay, and if you are referring that PDF from your mobile, we call it as soft copy of the notes. We call it as soft copy of the notes. But every time opening the mobile and reading that small terms, it will become very difficult for you. So you planned it to take that same notes printed on a paper. That same notes printed on a paper. So then immediately what you will do? You will go to a Xerox center, or if you have a printer at home, you will simply take the printout from that PDF document. So printouts means the complete material, whatever I supplied to you in the form of soft copy, that you are printing on papers. So we call such papers as hard copy because you can feel them, you can see them, you can read them, and you can sense them, basically. Isn't it? So such a thing, we call it as hard copy, and whatever you have inside your mobile phone, the material supplied in PDF format, we call it as soft copy. Okay, this is a more clear picture of your block diagram. So simply whatever ALUs, control unit, memory unit we have inside this CPU, I have shown those things as well as the input devices and output devices. That's it. So next thing is, first we have seen the categorization of hardware, software. The computer is divided into hardware, software. Then we started the study of hardware, and inside this hardware we have seen the block diagram of the computer in terms of hardware. Then we have seen a more clear picture of block diagram. Then inside this block diagram we have input devices, output devices, processing unit. So we have to discuss about three as well. Okay, about these three as well. So now I'm discussing about input devices. What are my input devices? So input and how these input devices are helpful to me. So input devices, what they basically do means, input devices are helpful, or input devices are used to give the input to the computer or to enter the data into the computer. So where we will enter the data? Using these input devices into the computer, we will enter the data. Okay, so these input devices, they are helpful in giving the input to the computer. And examples to these input devices, just now we discussed: your keyboard, your mouse, your camera, your microphone. All these are examples for input devices. So using the keyboard, I'm giving the key input, keystroke input. I'm pressing some keys on the keyboard, and that keys will input some data into the computer. And using mouse, the tracking point. Okay, using mouse also I can give some form of input to the computer. Then using scanner, we are going to scan the documents inside a computer, scan pictures, scan documents inside a computer. So it is also a form of scanner, is also a form of input device. Then we have camera. Camera is also a kind of input device because we are taking the pictures, taking the videos into the computer. Then microphone, taking the audio input into the computer. So microphone is also an example for input device. So next is output devices. What are all output devices and how these output devices are helpful? Output devices, they are helpful in generating the information from the computer, in taking the information from the computer. Okay, if you have a computer and you have given some input to it, definitely it has to give some output. Otherwise, doing some action is waste of time, isn't it? Doing such action is waste of time. You have given some input to the computer and it is not giving any output to you. What advantage, what effort uh, you paid for? Whatever action you have done to the computer, if it is not giving any output, it is useless, isn't it? So such actions we won't do. So definitely whenever we are doing something, we are expecting something. Okay, so output devices, they are basically helpful in giving the output to the external, I mean end user. So, or with the help of output devices, we are taking the information, that is nothing but output, from the computer. Okay, and examples for these output devices, if you see, we have the monitor. It is nothing but the display, or sometimes we call it as standard display, because that is the minimal requirement in order to run a computer. In order to take the output from a computer, we need to have a monitor. That is the minimum requirement. So that is the reason why we are calling the monitor as standard display or standard output device. Okay, display or standard output device. Why we call it as standard output device means because that is the minimum requirement. In order to see the output generated by a computer, that is the minimum requirement. Okay, so that is the reason why we are calling the monitor or the display as standard output device. Okay, next is printer. Yeah, using a printer you can print the documents which will show the output on a paper. Okay, then we have speakers. Speakers will play the audio output for us. If the computer wants to give some output in the form of audio, so from where we will get? From the speakers only we will get. So speaker is the output device which will give the audio output to the end user. So like this, input devices we discussed, output devices we also discussed. So as I said, if the output is shown on the monitor, if the output is shown on the monitor or on the mobile screen, we call it as soft copy. We call it as soft copy. And if the output is printed on a paper, if the output is printed on a paper with the help of a printer, we call it as hard copy. It is very, very important question because in my previous year university question papers, when I was referring, I have seen this type of question. What is hard copy? What is soft copy? When we call, the data is in soft form, and when we call, the information is in hard form. So if the data is stored inside a computer, inside a mobile device, and if we are viewing the data with the help of monitor or with the help of mobile screen, we call it as soft copy. We call it as soft copy. So if you are viewing that same output on a paper with the help printed with the help of paper printer, what you did, the same output you printed on a paper with the help of printer, then we call such a thing as hard copy, because you can see it, you can refer it, you can overwrite, underline it, whatever you want to do, you can do it. So physically you can touch it, basically, what I mean to say. You can physically touch that content. So such content we call it as hard copy. Hope you understood. So the next thing we have the central part in your computer, the central processing unit, or in short we call it as processing unit. Okay, the CPU, central processing unit, it is responsible for executing the instructions. Whatever instructions we give, whatever instructions, calculation task we give to the computer, that task will be fulfilled by this central processing unit only. Okay, input devices will only take the task to the computer. Output devices will give the result to the user. But who exactly does the job means, does the task means, the central processing unit only does the task. So central processing unit, it is a combination, those tasks, they may be arithmetic calculations, they may be comparison between the data, they may be movement of data from one part to another part. If you're doing the comparison whether two entities of data equal or not, such jobs the computer will do, the central processing unit will do. If you are moving the data, if you are moving the file location from your mobile phone to computer, then who will do that job? Your central processing unit will do. Your central processing unit will move that data from mobile phone to computer likewise. So not only the arithmetic calculations, not only the comparison of data between the data, but also the movement of data will be taken care of by central processing unit. Your central processing unit is responsible for doing all these things. Arithmetic calculations, okay, comparison between the data and movement of the data. Okay. Yes. In practice, if we are going with traditional classical approach, we are going to have only one CPU in computer. We are going to have only one central processing unit inside a computer. But nowadays, as the trends is, I mean, the computers day by day we are having many modern computers, many trending computers in the market. So there we may find a single computer with multiple processors. Okay, we may find a single computer with more than one processors or with more than one CPUs. That is also possible in nowadays. Okay, so the CPU internal to it, we are going to have three different parts. Just now I have explained this thing in block diagram as well. So inside a CPU, inside a central processing unit of the computer, we are going to have three different things. The first one is ALU, then we have CU, and finally we have MU. What is ALU? Arithmetic and logic unit. Arithmetic and logic unit. What is CU? Control unit. And what is MU? Memory unit. So three different things: control unit, memory unit, and arithmetic logic unit. So what is ALU? Arithmetic logic unit. What it will do? It will perform the basic operations like arithmetic operations and logical operations. Okay, basic arithmetic operations in the sense like adding two numbers, subtracting one number from the other, multiplying two numbers, dividing one number with other. So these type of arithmetic calculations, not only this, there are some other computer related operations also we have, but for now we discuss only this because you are quite familiar with these operations. So that is the reason why I am discussing only these operations. Then logical operations in the sense doing the comparison between the numbers, which number is greater, which number is smaller, both the numbers are equal, how the relationship exists between the numbers. In order to do such logical operations, the ALU will perform. So hope you understood. Arithmetic operations in the sense doing calculations, adding two numbers, subtracting one number from the other number. Okay, multiplying two numbers, dividing one number with the other. So these type of operations we call them as arithmetic operations. Then what is logical operations? Means doing comparison between the numbers, doing comparison and giving the result. Which one is greater, which one is smaller, or both the numbers are equal or not. Such operations we perform, such logical operations we perform. Okay, so next thing, yeah, the ALU is responsible for both this, to perform the arithmetic operations as well as logical operations. We use ALU, arithmetic logic unit. Then control unit, yeah, basically this control unit, it is like a nerve system of your computer. It will not carry any data but the control signals. In order to wake up a particular device, we need to send some kind of control signal. Okay, in order to put the device on sleep mode, or in order to close some operation inside your computer, what we have to do, we have to send some control signals. Like in our body, if we are moving a particular part of our body, I'm raising my hand. So how I'm raising? With the help of mind only I'm raising. I'm sending some kind of signal from my brain to this hand. Okay, what sort of signal I'm sending? A kind of control signal I'm sending, so that I'm raising this hand. And what type of system plays this role in order to raise my hand means the nervous system, isn't it? Inside our brain we are having different systems, and nervous system is one such system, and it will send the control signal to my hand so that I am raising the hand. In such same way, in order to send some control signals inside your computer, okay, in order to do the data processing, in order to wake up the device, in order to close a device. Such operations we perform with the help of control unit. So basically what a control unit, every operation such as storing, computing, retrieving the data should be governed by the control unit. It is a governing body, we can say. The control unit is the governing body. It will give instructions to all the devices inside your computer by sending the control signals. How it will do those, give those instructions in the sense by sending the control signals only. So it is the governing body of your computer. Okay. So next is the memory unit, and the memory unit is used for storing the data. Whenever we say memory, we have to talk about the storage, isn't it? So the memory unit, it is responsible for storing the data. The memory unit, it is classified into two parts, the primary memory and the secondary memory. Again, we have to discuss what is primary and what is secondary memory. Okay. So the primary memory. So the primary memory, also known as main memory, it is a place where programs and data are stored temporarily during processing. Okay. So primary memory in the sense temporary memory, secondary memory in the sense permanent memory. Okay. We discuss in detail about these memory types, primary memory and secondary memory, in our upcoming sessions, along with software concept. So far, what we have covered in this class, in the sense, I defined the computer in multiple ways, in different ways. Okay. And I told you that whatever you have, the idea about the computer, definition about the computer in your mind, that is also correct. Okay. You may call the computer as a machine, you may call the computer as an electronic device, you may call the computer as a tool which minimizes the effort of a human being. So all these definitions, they are very true. But we are following the Ferozer and Gilbert textbook, and according to the textbook, the definition of a computer is, it is a combination of two major components. One is hardware and the other one is software. So hardware is something we can physically see, touch, feel. Okay. So software is something that is virtual. Okay. About software, anyhow, we have not started the discussion, but about hardware, we said it is further classified into three different types: input devices, processing unit, output devices. Input devices are helpful in giving the input to the computer. Your keyboard, mouse are the examples. Output devices, they are helpful in retrieving the information from the computer. Your printer and monitor are the examples for output devices. Central processing unit, it is the brain of the computer, heart of the computer. Whatever you want to say, you can say to it. It is the brain, it is the control unit, it is the memory unit, it is the arithmetic logic unit of your computer. Okay. So ALU, it will do the arithmetic operations, nothing but adding two numbers, subtracting, arithmetic, all the arithmetic operations. Logical means comparison between the numbers. Okay. So likewise, your ALU will perform two types of operations: arithmetic operations as well as logical operations. CU is responsible, CU is the governing body of our computer, we said. It is going to monitor, it is going to control all the devices inside your computer by sending and receiving the control signals. Okay. Memory unit, it is the storage area where we are going to store the programs as well as data. We still need to discuss about this memory unit. Okay. Hopefully, as the time is running out, I will conclude this session here itself. In tomorrow's session, we'll go into deep and we'll discuss what is memory unit and what are computer software. Hopefully. So the many students, they are asking, do we have to maintain the notes for these online classes? I suggest you, yes, because whatever you are going to do as part of writing and narrating the notes, definitely it is going to help you a lot. Okay. So I suggest you to maintain a running notes of for my class as well, and whatever tasks, whatever assignments I am going to give, that also you have to note it down inside your running notes. And whenever they call you for practicals, or whenever they will call you for offline classes, definitely I am going to see, definitely I am going to check your running notes, and accordingly I am going to consider the attendance. Okay. Hopefully, yeah, further we'll discuss in our next class. Thank you very much, students.